What's up, everyone? Welcome to Power Play with CJ. I want to focus in on someone asked me this the other day. Dan Boyle is a free agent at the end of the year, and Brad Richards. There's a 65% chance he gets bought out by the New York Rangers, considering they have to do it by this summer. And would they return to Tampa as a duo? Not with the way it ended with their buddy San Luis a few months ago. Now, rightly or wrongly, blame whatever party you want in that. But yeah, I don't think either one would go back into those circumstances. But I should say that they did want to go back to Tampa. I'm going to make a pop culture reference right here. It was announced maybe a week, 10 days ago, they're going to make Mrs. Doubtfire 2. Now, Mrs. Doubtfire 1 is one of my all-time favorite movies. Robin Williams was great in drag. Sally Field kicked a pony. I was pissed at her for years. I was an animal lover as a kid. I still am. But, the pony was eating cake, and Robin Williams with the hat on backwards. He'll jump around. One of the classic jams. A great movie. 21, 22 years later, you don't need to make a sequel to that movie. The ending was fine. It turns out, the old lady, the dude was a lady. It was Robin Williams. It's like that with Danny Boyle and Brad Richards. What do you have to prove by bringing them back? You have a young, up-tempo, fast team. You got two aging players right there. Danny Boyle's plus-minus this year has been, bad. And, Richards, I don't say he's been bad. It's just he's overpaid is what it is. And, in a salary cap league, you can't, have that albatross of contract when you're down. And, that's part of the course. That's the nature of the beast with the NHL these days. But, you got to look at it as, can they benefit the team? And I think they do more harm than good. I think they're more detrimental. And they went younger with buying out Lecavalier. And I don't think they'd hold the Vinny Lecavalier buyout against the Lightning because that was, first of all, Richards would be bought out himself to get there. So he'd understand that part of it. And, I just think the contract and everything else, that was, I think that worked out. No one wanted it to come to that, but it's what had to be done. And, Lecavalier understood that, I'm sure. But the San Luis thing, I think the blame falls on the shoulders of both sides. But I think that would dissuade Boyle and Richards from going back to Tampa. But again, them going back would ruin what they accomplished the first. Because all you'd think about would be the aging players out there. It was, again, like Mrs. Doubtfire. You make this great movie, absolute cinematic masterpiece, hysterical movie. And then 21 years later, you rip it off, make a sequel, and it sucks. My next question is, how broke is Robin Williams? He's on some stupid sitcom on CBS. Now he's Mrs. Doubtfire 2. Come on. God help us all. But, and then looking at it, you think about, they won the Stanley Cup, and they're both traded away for absolutely, nothing, in the long run with the respective trades. The ownership was a mess, and you think about after both of them got traded, they ended up having Barry Melrose behind the bench. So let that sink in for a second. Funny thing was they locked up Boyle and traded him. Talk about the kiss of death right there. But just looking at it from the perspective of you kind of take away from what you accomplished first time. That was winning the Stanley Cup, having some really good teams, and Boyle, undrafted free agent out of Miami, Ohio, waived by the Panthers, and then goes to Tampa and has this amazing run. Why ruin it? It's kind of Glenn Murray with the Bruins. All I could think about was when he was out there at that Montreal series in 2008, could barely skate. Was banged up, old, didn't have it anymore, and it took away from the former 40 goal scorer was because that was the last memory in my head. And I think both those guys will be honored by the franchise when they retire. It's not the players' fault the way either one of those situations ended, but likewise you have to take into consideration what's best for the team going forward. So that's by leaving those guys out, you're doing that. And again, Jim Rome said it about, I guess 2 years ago, that they were talking about making Top Gun Part 2, which I don't think has seen the light of day, though. No. I'm grateful. I love the movie Top Gun, but it's one of those things. The original was so great, you're not going to do it over again. And bringing back Dan Boyle and Brad Richards, while they do have some hockey left in them, really don't fit the mold of this team. They have amazing young talent in the organization, and bringing them back for sentimental reasons is stupid. You owe it to your fans to have the best product on the ice, and regardless of how the Montreal series went, there's still a team on the rise, and that team that Steve Eisman's assembled that will be a legitimate contender for many years to come. They'll get Bishop locked up long term, and next summer, Stamkos will be a free agent in 2016. I'm convinced he'll be locked up next summer. This is his team. They're going to build around him, and going the nostalgia route isn't going to benefit anyone, including the Lightning. So anyway, that's all I got this episode of the Power Play with CJ on possibility of Boyle and or Brad Richards coming back. Stay tuned for episodes throughout the playoffs and beyond. Later, guys.